On behalf of the John Carroll University Entrepreneurs Association, the EDE channel of A Job Near Home, we are thoroughly pleased to introduce Dave Anderson of the Metron Instruments Company. Welcome.
Thank you.
Metron Instruments is a very, very interesting company involved in standardization and some other things in the dairy industry and beyond that. Tell us about what you do.
Well, our business is in a niche market, basically in the dairy industry. We produce and design and sell an analytical instrument that measures and controls components of milk, specifically fat, lactose, protein, and solids. In a typical environment, when you receive raw material, it is by nature standard. So when you buy it to a purchasing specification, it comes in to spec.
Sure.
In the case of milk, when you receive raw milk, the cows don't necessarily produce standard milk. So in the dairy industry, what they do is they standardize the milk so that when you purchase 1%, 2%, or whole milk, you're actually getting a standard product. So what they do is they measure the milk and control the process so that they get the right fat level.
This is not
and that's
only,
what our instrument does.
Okay, it's not only in process, but you also have lab equipment.
Right. Our traditional product, which is most of our installed product, is of the standardization variety. We do have a laboratory instrument, which is about the size of a microwave oven.
Okay.
And it sits in the lab, and the customer can bring a sample to the instrument, and it will then measure the fat and protein, lactose, and solids in the milk or cream or other ice cream mix, things like that. And then they'll make a decision based on the results.
Prior to being an entrepreneur, you worked for a large company, world-renowned, and you decided that the corporate life just wasn't for you. There wasn't anything fun ahead to be promoted into. So you went out looking for a business that had to have some components to it, and you discovered this one. Tell me about that process.
Well, what was happening in my career was that I had spent a number of years basically in many different facets of a typical manufacturing business. So I had spent time in quality assurance, sales, purchasing, manufacturing, service, IT, you name it. Essentially, I had been in some sort of position in each of those kind of departments. The one area where I had not was in finance, maybe finance or accounting.
Sure.
But I had an engineering degree, I had an MBA, and I realized that I didn't really want the next promotion. So I started on the process of saying, well, what am I going to do? I enjoy working, but started to think, what am I going to do? So that started me down the process of saying, well, maybe I want to own my own business. I felt really qualified to do that because I had so much experience in so many different areas. I can wear all the hats of a small business owner.
Now, you had some outside help to have you look at businesses to buy. The business that you bought, you actually relocated, if you will, to Northeast Ohio. You learned a lesson when you bought the business, and a lot of entrepreneurs get into buying something that maybe they didn't do the right due diligence on. Tell us about that.
When we were looking for a business, I was doing independent consulting on the side. So I was traveling back and forth to Seattle every week, basically earning money for the family. So then you say, well, what kind of due diligence can you do during that process? What we found was in that process, we didn't really do enough due diligence on the core products. And to some extent, even if we had, I think I would have, going into it, said, that's okay, we can fix that. Because really, looking at it, I wanted a business that I could purchase for a reasonable price, but also add value, directly. And ultimately, you figure, hey, I can I can fix those things.
And as you've said, if there was nothing to be fixed, you couldn't afford the business. There's something to be fixed, you have to fix it, which we all get into when we buy businesses, you know, and also there's an emotional part of the purchase. I can fix this. You obviously have straightened that out, but it took a while. What was that process like?
It was very challenging. It took us literally 4 years, and a lot of difficulty along the way, and we certainly changed from plan A to plan B a number of times. But ultimately, you know, we made some decisions on personnel, which actually I had been advised prior to buying the business that I needed to make those decisions. Fundamentally, the business started to turn around, you know, after that. But it's a process of, for us, documenting processes, improving efficiencies in the operation, and just trying to carve out as much cost as possible to get to a point where, you know, we were a good, solid, going concern. And
being in a business that standardizes, if you will, the end product to the consumer, you also standardized how you did what you did, so that the consumer would have the confidence in you that they needed to have. What's one lesson you've learned through all that?
One of the things that's highly embarrassing is when you ship two products that are supposed to be the same and they're not. And it's critical that you have the credentials that a big company provides. Even though we're a small company, when we ship something that is, you know, the same part number or the same product, it needs to be the same.
Now, the future of the company looks very, very rosy. As we were talking about, you've got a couple of other markets to go into, but you are well positioned because of some methodologies internally and some outside advisory personnel who are helping you in certain things, which is certainly the way to go. Do you really feel that as a member of the John Carroll Entrepreneurs Association, you've got something to give back to the membership?
I think I do. One of the things that I have recognized is that as we have developed an external network of contractors or companies that we deal with, we're able to provide a very professional and complete solution to partners. So we are partnered right now with the key company in the dairy industry, and we've also partnered with another company separately. So we have people from Mentor to Westlake to Akron and everywhere in between, and we bring them in as experts, and they're really part of our company.
And that's part of your goal of supporting and lifting up Northeast Ohio too.
Right, and I think it's, you know, it's amazing actually for us. The business when we bought it was based in York, England, and also in upstate New York State. And we moved all of that here. And I was concerned initially, could we support it in this region? And we have found expertise for sure that can do that locally. In fact, we have our device is a mid-infrared technology, and we have a PhD contractor out of the University of Akron that's working with us, and he did his PhD in mid-infrared, amazingly.
Keep it local.
So for us, the location is ideal. We can drive to many of our customers, be it in Michigan, New York, or Pennsylvania, and the others we fly to out of a hub here in Cleveland. And frankly, the business in New York or elsewhere would not have been as centrally located, you know, as where we are now. Let alone the fact that we have suppliers here in town that help us on a cost basis.
David, you've got a great story, great company with a wonderful future. And when we ask you back in for some other sessions here, we can go maybe into some of those new products coming up. So again, David, thank you so much. Okay. And to the members of the EEA, let's go out and make something successful today. Thank you.